Captain Minho Kim stood on the bridge of the Horizon's Promise, staring at the massive station floating in the darkness of space. It was called Nexus Prime, and it was unlike anything humanity had ever built. The station stretched for miles, a gleaming tower of silver and gold that seemed to pulse with its own light. Around it, hundreds of ships moved in careful patterns, each one belonging to a different alien race. Minho felt his heart pound in his chest. This was it. First contact with the Galactic Council. Everything humanity had dreamed about since looking up at the stars was about to become real. "Captain, we're receiving their docking instructions," said Hyun Choi from the communications station. The young officer's hands shook slightly as he worked. Everyone on the bridge was nervous. How could they not be? They were about to meet aliens. "Send our acknowledgement," Minho said. He tried to keep his voice steady. "Dr. Park, are you ready?" Dr. Yoonji Park looked up from her datapad. She had spent the last 3 months studying every scrap of information they had about the Council. It wasn't much. The Council had made first contact with Earth 6 months ago, sending a simple message. "Welcome to the galactic community. Come to Nexus Prime, we have much to discuss." "As ready as I'll ever be," Yoonji said. She pushed her black hair behind her ear and smiled, but Minho could see the worry in her eyes. The Horizon's Promise moved slowly toward the docking bay. Through the windows they could see other ships. Some looked like metal birds. Others were perfect spheres. One looked like it was made of living crystal. Each one was beautiful and strange. A voice came through the speakers. It spoke perfect English, though there was something odd about the tone. "Welcome, humans of Earth. We are honored to meet you. Please proceed to Conference Hall 7. Ambassador Thelvar will greet you there." Minho, Yoonji, and 4 other crew members left the ship. The docking bay was enormous. The ceiling stretched so high above them that Minho couldn't see where it ended. Aliens walked past them, barely glancing at the humans. Some had 4 arms. Others floated without legs. One creature looked like a walking tree. "Stay close," Minho whispered to his team. They walked through corridors made of material that seemed to shift colors as they moved. Finally, they reached Conference Hall 7. Ambassador Thelvar was waiting for them. He was tall, nearly 8 feet, with blue skin and 3 eyes arranged in a triangle on his face. He wore robes of deep purple and gold. When he saw the humans, he smiled, showing teeth that were too sharp. "Captain Kim," Thelvar said, bowing slightly. "Welcome. We have waited a long time for humanity to join us." "Thank you, Ambassador," Minho said. He bowed back, hoping it was the right gesture. "We're honored to be here." Thelvar led them to a large table. On it lay a document glowing with soft blue light. "This is our standard membership treaty," Thelvar explained. "All new species sign it. It grants you access to our technology, our trade routes, and our protection." Yoonji stepped forward, studying the document. Her eyes moved quickly over the words. Minho knew she could read faster than anyone he'd ever met. After a moment, she frowned. "Ambassador, may I ask some questions about the terms?" she asked. "Of course," Thelvar said. His smile never changed. "It says here that Earth must share 30% of its resources with the Council." "What does that mean exactly?" Thelvar waved one hand as if brushing away a fly. "A small contribution. All members share. It's how we maintain our infrastructure." "And this section about labor exchange?" Yoonji pressed. "It mentions that 30% of Earth's population will be available for work assignments." "Standard practice," Thelvar said. His voice was still friendly, but something cold flickered in his 3 eyes. "We have many projects across the galaxy. All members contribute workers." Minho felt ice form in his stomach. 30% of Earth's population? That was billions of people. And the way Thelvar said work assignments made it sound like they wouldn't have a choice. Back on the ship, Hyun was doing his job, monitoring communications. He wasn't supposed to listen to encrypted channels, but something had made him curious. He adjusted the frequencies, trying to break through the static. Then he heard it. A conversation in a language he didn't understand, but his computer translated it automatically. "The humans are reviewing the treaty now." "Good. Once they sign, we can begin extraction operations. Their planet is rich in rare minerals." "What about resistance?" "There won't be any. The treaty has hidden clauses. Once activated, their weapon systems will shut down. We've done this 43 times before. Humans will be no different." Hyun's blood ran cold. He hit the emergency communication button. Captain, you need to return to the ship immediately. It's a trap. In the conference hall, Minho's communicator buzzed. He heard Hyun's frantic voice. His eyes met Yoonji's and he saw that she understood. Ambassador Thelvar, Minho said carefully, we need more time to review this treaty. We should return to Earth and consult with our government. Thelvar's smile vanished. That won't be necessary. You will sign now. We respectfully decline, Minho said. He started backing toward the door, his team moving with him. Thelvar raised one hand. The doors slammed shut. Alarms began wailing throughout the station. You don't understand, Thelvar said, and now his voice was cold. You don't get to decline. No new species does. You will sign or we will take what we want by force. Run, Minho shouted. They raced through the corridors. Behind them, security forces appeared, aliens in black armor carrying weapons that glowed with purple energy. Yoonji fumbled with her communicator. Hyun, start the engines. We need emergency extraction. The team burst into the docking bay. Energy blasts flew past them, scorching the walls. One of Minho's crew members, a young man named Ki-hoon, was hit in the back. He fell and didn't get up. They reached the ship. The engines were already roaring. Go, 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 Minho shouted as they ran up the ramp. The Horizon's Promise pulled away from the station, but as they cleared the docking bay, dozens of council ships surrounded them. They were trapped. Hyun, send everything we've learned back to Earth, Minho ordered. Make sure they know the council can't be trusted. Make sure they know what's coming. Sending now, Captain, Hyun said. Tears ran down his face. The council ships opened fire. The Horizon's Promise shook violently. Explosions rocked the hull. Fire spread through the corridors. Yoonji, get to the escape pods, Minho said. Take as many crew as you can. What about you? Yoonji asked. I'll buy you time, Minho said. He smiled at her, even though his hands were burned and blood dripped from a cut on his forehead. Someone needs to stay at the helm, now go. Yoonji wanted to argue, but she knew he was right. She grabbed Hyun and 10 other crew members. They ran to the escape pods. As they launched, Yoonji watched through the pod's small window. The Horizon's Promise turned toward the council fleet. For a moment, it seemed like Minho might actually ram one of their ships. Then the entire vessel exploded in a ball of white fire. The escape pods scattered using the explosion as cover. Most of them were destroyed by council ships, but 3 pods made it away, jumping into faster-than-light travel. Inside her pod, Yoonji clutched the data drive containing everything they'd learned. Behind her, Hyun was crying. The others sat in shocked silence. Back on Earth, Admiral Ji-won Lee received Hyun's transmission. She read it 3 times, not wanting to believe what she was seeing. Then she called an emergency meeting with all of Earth's leaders. The council isn't offering friendship, she told them. They're planning to enslave us, and they're bringing a fleet to make sure we can't refuse. Far above, in the darkness of space, the Galactic Council prepared their ships. They had conquered 43 species before. They were confident that number 44 would be just as easy. They had no idea what was coming. The Council fleet arrived 3 weeks after the Horizon's Promise was destroyed. There were 200 ships, each one larger than Earth's biggest aircraft carrier. They took positions around the planet, forming a blockade that nothing could pass through. Admiral Ji-won Lee watched the enemy ships from the command center deep beneath the Pacific Ocean. Every screen showed another council vessel. Every radar signature was another threat. Earth had never faced anything like this before. They're sending a transmission, said one of her officers. A face appeared on the main screen. It was Ambassador Thelvar, the same alien who had tried to trap Captain Minho. He smiled his too sharp smile. People of Earth, he said, his voice broadcast to every device on the planet. We come in peace. Your ship attacked our station without cause. We defended ourselves. Now we offer you one chance. Surrender immediately and you will be integrated into the Council. Refuse and we will take your planet by force. Ji-won muted the transmission. She looked at the faces around her. Military leaders from every nation on Earth were watching, waiting for her decision. They had chosen her to coordinate Earth's defense because she had never lost a battle. But she had never fought aliens before. What are our options? Asked General Becker from the United States. Not many, Ji-won admitted. We sent everything we had against their lead ships yesterday. Our missiles bounced off their shields. Our fighters couldn't get close enough to do damage. Their technology is centuries ahead of ours. So we surrender. asked Commander Dubois from France. Never, Jiwan said. The word came out harder than she intended. They killed our people. They lied to us. And if we surrender, we become their slaves. I'd rather die fighting. The room fell silent. Then, one by one, the other leaders nodded. Then how do we fight? Asked Commander Ivanov from Russia. Before Jiwan could answer, another alert flashed on the screens. The Council ships were moving. They weren't attacking Earth yet. They were heading for the moon. On the moon, humanity had 3 mining colonies. 2,000 people lived there, extracting minerals and running research stations. Now Council ships descended on those colonies like wolves on sheep. The moon bases tried to defend themselves. They had mining equipment, not weapons. It wasn't enough. Within an hour, all 3 colonies went silent. Next, the Council moved to Mars. Earth's first terraforming colony was there, home to 5,000 people. They tried to evacuate, but Council ships blocked every escape route. Mars colony sent one final message before their communications were cut. Don't trust them. They're taking prisoners. Don't let them take Earth. Jiwan slammed her fist on the table. We need options. Someone tell me how we hurt them. A young woman stepped forward. Her name was Hana Song, and she had been a weapons engineer for the Korean military. She had black-rimmed glasses and looked too young to be in a war room. But Jiwan knew she was brilliant. Admiral, I've been studying the data from the Horizon's Promise, Hana said. Before Captain Minho died, his ship's sensors recorded everything about the Council vessels. I found something. Everyone leaned forward. Their shields are strong against direct attacks, Hana explained. But they're all controlled by a central AI network. Every Council ship connects to it. If we could disrupt that network even for a few seconds, their shields would fail. How do we disrupt it? Jiwan asked. I don't know yet, Hana admitted. But I'm working on it. It wasn't much of a plan, but it was something. Over the next few months, the Council tightened their grip on Earth. They landed troops in major cities around the world. They demanded that every government surrender. When some refused, Council ships destroyed entire military bases in seconds. But humanity didn't break. Instead, people went underground. In the mountains of Korea, a man named Dae-ho Yoon organized the first resistance cell. He had been a special forces commander before the invasion. Now he led raids against Council supply depots. His team was small, only 20 people, but they were smart and angry. They learned that Council soldiers, despite their advanced technology, could still be killed. A well-placed explosive. A sniper shot through the weak points in their armor. The Council had never faced guerrilla warfare before. They didn't know how to fight an enemy that hit and ran and hid among civilians. Daeho's cell destroyed 3 Council supply convoys in 1 month. It wasn't much, but it proved something important. The Council could bleed. Around the world, other resistance cells formed. In Africa, in South America, in Europe, in Asia. They all fought the same way, using speed and surprise against an enemy with better weapons. But the Council was patient. They began rounding up civilians, forcing them into labor camps. The camps were on Earth and on Council worlds across the galaxy. Humans were put to work mining, building, and serving their new masters. A man named Taiyang Kang was taken to one of these camps. He had been a corporate executive before the invasion, running a technology company in Seoul. Now he wore rags and broke rocks with his bare hands. But Taeyang's mind still worked. He watched the guards. He studied their routines. He talked to other prisoners and learned what he could about Council operations. After 6 months, he knew more about the Council's logistics network than most of their own officers. One night, Taeyang escaped. He killed 2 guards, stole their communication device, and made his way to the nearest resistance cell. The information he brought was priceless. The Council is overconfident, Taeyang told Daeho when they met. They think we're beaten. They've stopped reinforcing their positions. If we coordinate our attacks, we could actually hurt them. Daeho sent Taeyang's information to every resistance cell he could reach. The message was simple: keep fighting. Make them pay for every inch of Earth they take. Meanwhile, Admiral Ji-won was working on a bigger plan. She knew that guerrilla warfare could slow the Council down, but it couldn't win the war. For that, Earth needed something more. Deep in the ocean, hidden from Council sensors, Ji-won had ordered the construction of secret facilities. These underwater bases became humanity's last hope. Scientists and engineers worked day and night, studying captured Council technology, trying to understand how it worked. Hana Song was one of those scientists. She barely slept. Every hour she spent was another hour trying to find a weakness in the Council's defenses. One day, 6 months after the invasion began, Hana had a breakthrough. She burst into Jiwon's office, her eyes wild with excitement. "I found it," she said. "The way to disrupt their AI network. We need quantum processors running a specific algorithm. It'll create interference that their systems can't handle. Can we build it?" Jiwon asked. "We're already building it," Hana said, grinning. "I call it the Revenant Protocol. In 3 months, we'll be ready to test it." Jiwon felt hope for the first time since the invasion began. "Good, keep working. And Hana, tell no one. If the Council learns what we're doing, they'll destroy us before we can finish." Hana nodded and left. That night, Jiwon received a message from one of the escape pods that had fled Nexus Prime. Dr. Yoonji Park was alive. She had made it to a remote asteroid station and had been hiding there for months. Now she was ready to come home. "I have information," Yoonji's message said. "Council military positions, their supply routes, everything. I've been watching them. I know how they think. Bring me home and I'll help you beat them." Jiwon dispatched a stealth ship to retrieve Yoonji. It took 2 weeks of careful navigation to avoid Council patrols, but they brought her back safely. When Yoonji arrived at the underwater base, she looked thin and tired. But her eyes were hard. She had seen what the Council did to conquered species. She had watched from hiding as they stripped entire worlds of resources, leaving nothing behind. "They think we're weak," Yoonji told Jiwon. "They think we'll break like all the others. But they don't understand humans. We don't break. We adapt. Can we win?" Jiwon asked. Yoonji smiled, and it wasn't a kind smile. "Yes, but not by fighting their way. We fight dirty. We fight mean. We make them regret ever coming to Earth." Around the world, the resistance grew stronger. More people joined every day. They sabotaged Council equipment. They rescued prisoners. They sent supplies to the hidden bases where scientists worked on weapons. The Council barely noticed. They were too busy extracting Earth's resources, too confident in their victory. But in the depths of the ocean and the hearts of the mountains, humanity was preparing. They were learning. They were planning. And when they were ready, the Council would learn a terrible lesson. Never underestimate a species fighting for its home. The war was just beginning. 5 years passed under Council rule. On the surface, it looked like the Council had won. Earth's major cities were occupied. Millions of humans worked in labor camps across the galaxy. The Council had taken so much from Earth that some regions were becoming deserts, stripped of their resources. But beneath the surface, humanity was changing. In a secret laboratory hidden 3 miles below the Pacific Ocean, Dr. Yuna Bay worked on something that would have terrified the Council if they knew about it. She was changing humans at the genetic level. Yuna had always been fascinated by how the human body worked. Before the invasion, she had been working on cures for diseases. Now she was working on something very different. "The problem," she explained to Admiral Jiwon, "is that we're physically weaker than most Council species. They're stronger, faster, and can survive in environments that would kill us. But I can fix that." She showed Jiwon her test results. Using technology stolen from captured Council soldiers and human genetic engineering, she had created enhancements. Humans could be made stronger, faster, smarter. Their reflexes could be improved. They could survive higher levels of radiation. Their bones could be reinforced. "How many people can you enhance?" Jiwon asked. "Right now? Maybe 100 at a time. But if you give me more resources, more time, I can do thousands." Jiwon didn't hesitate. "You have whatever you need. Start with our best soldiers." The first person to volunteer was Colonel Seojin Han. He was already one of Earth's best fighters, a man who had killed more Council soldiers than anyone else. When Yuna told him about the risks, that the procedure might kill him or drive him insane, he just laughed. "I'm already willing to die fighting them," Seojin said. "This way, at least I might take more of them with me." The enhancement procedure took 3 days. Yuna and her team injected Seojin with dozens of different compounds. They used alien technology to rewrite parts of his DNA. They monitored every heartbeat, every brainwave, ready to stop if his body started to fail. On the 3rd day, Seojin woke up. He felt different, stronger. When he looked at a test target across the room, he could see details he never could before. When he moved, his body responded faster than his thoughts. "How do you feel?" Yuna asked. Seojin picked up a steel bar that normally required 2 hands and bent it with one. "I feel ready to fight." Over the next year, thousands of soldiers went through the same procedure. Not all of them survived. Some died during the process. Others lost their minds, unable to handle their new abilities. But most of them succeeded. They became something new, stronger than normal humans, faster, deadlier. Colonel Seojun began training these enhanced soldiers in secret facilities hidden in the deepest parts of Earth's oceans. He taught them how to fight council soldiers hand to hand. He taught them how to move without being detected. He taught them that mercy was something the council didn't deserve. While the soldiers trained, others worked on different problems. Jiho Ryu was 17 years old and the best hacker Earth had ever produced. Before the invasion, he had been a high school student who played with computers for fun. Now he was fighting a war with code. The council's systems were complex, but Jiho was patient. He spent months studying captured council computers, learning how they worked. He found backdoors, security flaws, weaknesses that the council had never bothered to fix because no one had ever challenged them before. One night, Jiho did something incredible. He hacked into the council's communication network. Suddenly, humanity could listen to every message the council sent. They could see military orders before they were executed. They could track ship movements. They could learn about council politics, their alliances, their weaknesses. "This is amazing," Admiral Jiwan said when Jiho showed her what he'd done. "With this, we can stay one step ahead of them." But Jiho wasn't done. He kept digging deeper into the council's systems. He found files about other species the council had conquered. He found evidence of atrocities that made Earth's suffering look small. He found complaints from council member species who were tired of the endless expansion, tired of the wars. Most importantly, he found the council's military protocols, their battle plans, their tactics, everything. "They fight the same way every time," Jiho explained to a room full of resistance leaders. "They have strategies that worked for them for thousands of years, so they never changed. They're predictable. If we know what they're going to do, we can counter it." Meanwhile, Hana Song had finished her work on the Revenant Protocol. The weapon was ready. It wasn't a gun or a bomb. It was a device that could disrupt the Council's AI network on a massive scale. When activated, it would shut down Council shields, weapons, and navigation systems for several minutes. Several minutes didn't sound like much. But in a space battle, several minutes was forever. "We need to test it," Hana told Jiwon. "But if we test it on Earth, the Council will know we have it. We need a target far enough away that they won't suspect us." Daeho Yoon, who now commanded all of Earth's resistance forces, had an idea. "There's a Council labor camp on Thelvar's homeworld. 50,000 humans are imprisoned there. What if we freed them?" Everyone stared at him. The idea was crazy. Thelvar's homeworld was deep in Council space, protected by dozens of warships. "It's suicide," someone said. "Maybe," Daeho agreed. "But if it works, we prove we can fight back. We save 50,000 people, and we test Hana's weapon in real combat." Jiwon thought about it for a long time. Finally, she nodded. "Do it, but do it right. I want everyone who goes on this mission to come home." The mission took 3 months to plan. They would use a captured council ship, modified with human technology. The crew would be enhanced soldiers led by Colonel Seojin. Hana would go with them to operate the Revenant Protocol. Jiho would hack the camp's security systems from orbit. Dr. Yoonji volunteered to go too. "I speak their language," she said. "I know their culture. You'll need someone who can negotiate if things go wrong." The ship launched from a hidden base on the dark side of the moon. It jumped through space, moving faster than light, heading toward enemy territory. When they arrived at Thelvar's homeworld, they found exactly what they expected. Dozens of Council warships in orbit. Security satellites everywhere. The labor camp on the surface was surrounded by energy barriers and guard towers. "This is insane," muttered one of the soldiers. "Good," Seojin said, grinning. "They won't expect it." Jiho went to work first. He hacked into the camp's security network, shutting down the energy barriers for 30 seconds. That was all the time they had. The ship dove toward the planet. Council warships immediately detected them and gave chase. Energy weapons lit up space. The ship shook as blasts hit its shields. "Now, Hana," shouted Yunji. Hana activated the Revenant Protocol. A pulse of quantum energy spread out from their ship in all directions. Instantly, every council ship went dark. Their shields failed. Their weapons stopped firing. Their engines cut out. The human ship landed at the labor camp. Seojin and his enhanced soldiers poured out. They moved so fast that the guards barely had time to raise their weapons. In less than 3 minutes, the entire guard force was dead. "Move! Move! Move!" Seojin shouted at the prisoners. "Everyone to the ship. We have maybe 5 minutes before their systems come back online." 50,000 humans ran toward the ship. It shouldn't have been possible to fit them all, but the captured council vessel was enormous. They packed in tight, filling every corridor, every room. As the last prisoners boarded, the council ships in orbit began coming back to life. Their systems were rebooting. "Go!" Yunji screamed at the pilot. The ship launched, engines screaming. Council warships fired at them, but they were too slow. The human ship jumped into faster-than-light travel, escaping before the council could react. They had done it. They had struck deep into council territory, freed 50,000 prisoners, and escaped. The mission was a complete success. Back on Earth, Admiral Jiwon watched the freed prisoners arrive. They were thin and scarred, but they were alive, and they were angry. "Recruit them," she told Daeho. "Anyone who wants to fight, give them the enhancement procedure. We're going to need every soldier we can get, because now the real work could begin." The test was over. The Revenant Protocol worked. The enhanced soldiers were ready. Humanity's secret fleet was nearly complete. The Council thought they had conquered Earth. They thought the war was over. They had no idea it was about to begin. The Council's first warning came on a Tuesday. 3 Council military depots exploded at the same time, one in the Rigel system, one near the Krovan homeworld, and one at the edge of Council space. The explosions destroyed enough weapons and supplies to equip 10 fleets. Ambassador Thelvar sat in his command center on Nexus Prime, staring at the reports. His 3 eyes narrowed with anger. "How is this possible?" he demanded. "These depots were heavily guarded. How did the humans even reach them?" His military advisor, a 4-armed creature named Vectos, shifted nervously. "We don't know, Ambassador. The attacks were perfectly coordinated. The humans used ships we've never seen before. They hit the depots and vanished before we could respond." "They're insects," Thelvar hissed. "Weak, primitive insects. Find them. Destroy them." But finding them wasn't easy. Captain Minji Kwan stood on the bridge of her ship, the Defiance. It was one of 200 warships that Earth had built in secret over the past 5 years. The ships looked similar to Council vessels from the outside, but inside they were different. They combined Council technology with human innovation, making them faster and deadlier than anything the Council had ever faced. "Set course for the Andros system," Minji ordered. "Intel says there's a Council supply convoy passing through in 6 hours. We're going to introduce ourselves," her crew grinned. They were ready for this. They had trained for 5 years waiting for the moment when Earth would strike back. Now that moment had come. The Council convoy never saw them coming. 6 supply ships protected by 8 warships. They thought they were safe in Council space. The Defiance and 3 other human ships dropped out of faster-than-light travel, right in the middle of the convoy. Before the Council could react, Hana's Revenant Protocol activated. Every Council ship went dark. Human ships opened fire. The Council warships exploded. The supply ships tried to run, but there was nowhere to go. In less than 10 minutes, the entire convoy was destroyed. "Jump out," Minji ordered. "Let's go find the next target." Across Council space, the same thing was happening. Human ships appeared without warning, destroyed their targets, and vanished. The Council couldn't track them. Their sensors couldn't detect them. It was like fighting ghosts. On Earth, Admiral Jiwan watched the reports with satisfaction. The plan was working. Every attack was designed to hurt the Council's ability to wage war. Destroy their supplies, sink their ships, make them afraid. But that was just the beginning. Jiho Ryu had been busy. He had spent months infiltrating deeper and deeper into the Council's systems. Now he was ready for the next phase. I can broadcast on every Council communication channel, he told Jiwan. Every screen, every device, every ship in Council space will receive it. Do it, Jiwan said. Dr. Yunji stood in front of a camera. Behind her was a list of names. Hundreds of names, species that the Council had conquered over the centuries. People of the galaxy, Yunji said in perfect Council standard language. My name is Dr. Yunji Park. I represent the human species of Earth. 5 years ago, the Galactic Council tried to enslave us. They destroyed our ships. They took our people. They thought we would surrender like all the others. She paused, letting her words sink in. They were wrong. We are not like the others. We do not surrender. We do not break. And now we are coming for them. Behind her, the names began to glow. These are the species the Council has conquered. The civilizations they destroyed. The people they enslaved. If you're watching this, if you're tired of living under their rule, join us. Fight with us. Together we can end the Council's tyranny forever. The broadcast ended. Across the galaxy, billions of beings had heard her words. The Council's response was immediate. Telvar called an emergency session of the full Council. Representatives from 47 species gathered at Nexus Prime. The humans must be crushed, Telvar declared. I want every available ship sent to Earth. We will destroy their planet and scatter their species across the void. They will serve as a warning to anyone else who dares to rebel. Most of the Council agreed, but not all of them. A diplomat named Junho Park sat in that chamber. He looked human, and that's because he was. But the Council didn't know that. Yunyo had been captured years ago and had pretended to be a loyal servant. He had worked his way up, gaining trust until he was allowed to attend Council meetings. Now he listened to Thelvar's rage and smiled. Everything was going according to plan. After the meeting, Junho sent a coded message to Earth. They're sending everything they have. 600 ships. They'll arrive at Earth in 2 weeks. Jiwan received the message and immediately called a war council. Every resistance leader, every ship captain, every scientist gathered in the deep ocean base. This is it, Jiwan said. The Council is coming with everything they have. If we lose this battle, humanity loses everything. Then we won't lose, Colonel Seojin said. His enhanced soldiers stood behind him, ready for war. What's the plan? Asked Captain Minji. Jiwan pulled up a hologram of Earth's solar system. We let them come. We make them think they're winning, and then we hit them with everything we have. Over the next 2 weeks, Earth prepared. Orbital defense platforms were activated, weapons that had been hidden for years. The fleet of 200 human warships positioned themselves on the far side of the moon. Enhanced soldiers took positions in underground bunkers, ready to repel any landing parties. And high above Earth in orbit, Hanasong installed something special, a massive version of the Revenant Protocol, powerful enough to affect every Council ship in the solar system at once. The Council fleet arrived exactly on schedule. 600 ships dropped out of faster-than-light travel and immediately surrounded Earth. They were confident. They were powerful. They outnumbered the humans 3-1. Ambassador Thelvar sent a transmission to Earth. This is your last chance. Surrender now or we will destroy your entire planet. Admiral G1 sent a reply. Just 2 words. Come closer. The Council fleet moved forward, preparing to bombard Earth's surface. That's when everything went wrong for them. Hana activated the massive Revenant Protocol. Every Council ship in the solar system went dark at the same moment. 600 warships floating helpless in space. Now, G1 shouted. Earth's orbital defense platforms opened fire. Human warships jumped from behind the moon and attacked. Fighter craft swarmed out of hidden bases, piloted by enhanced humans whose reflexes were fast enough to dodge Council weapons. One of those pilots was Sora Lim. She flew a prototype stealth fighter invisible to Council sensors. While the main battle raged, Sora slipped through the chaos. Her target was Thelvar's flagship. She dodged fire from automated defenses that were starting to come back online. She weaved between exploding ships, and then she was there right next to the flagship. Sora planted 3 explosive charges on the ship's hull and flew away. 10 seconds later, the charges detonated. The flagship broke in half. Throughout the battle, Council ships tried to retreat, but human vessels blocked their escape. This wasn't just a battle. It was a slaughter. The fight lasted for 6 hours. When it was over, 60% of the Council fleet was destroyed. The rest retreated, jumping away in random directions, desperate to escape. Earth had won. Admiral Jiwan broadcast a message across the galaxy. It was simple, direct, and terrifying. You came to our world as conquerors. You thought we would surrender. You thought we would break. Now you know the truth. We are humanity. We don't surrender. We don't break. And if you come for us again, we will show you what happens when you awaken a sleeping predator. She paused, making sure her next words were clear. This is just the beginning. We are coming for you. Every world you've conquered, we will free. Every species you've enslaved, we will liberate. Your time is over. The galaxy will be free or it will burn. The message ended. Across Council space, member species watched in shock. The humans had won. The species that was supposed to be weak and primitive had destroyed the Council's fleet. Some species were terrified. Others were inspired. And 3 species, tired of living under Council rule, made a choice. They contacted Earth. They offered to join the fight. Humanity had allies now, and the real war was about to begin. The Council chamber on Nexus Prime was in chaos. Representatives screamed at each other in dozens of different languages. Some demanded immediate retaliation against Earth. Others wanted to negotiate. A few were quietly planning to leave the Council entirely. Ambassador Thelvar stood at the center of the chamber, his blue skin darker than usual with rage. He had barely escaped the Battle of Earth alive. His flagship had been destroyed, and he'd fled in an escape pod like a common soldier. Order! He shouted, but no one listened. The Council was fracturing. Then a representative from the Meklar species stood up. The Meklars were small, only 4 feet tall, with gray skin and large eyes. They had been part of the Council for 3,000 years. I am withdrawing the Meklar Confederation from the Galactic Council, she announced. We joined this alliance believing it represented peace and cooperation. Instead, we have watched you conquer and enslave species after species. The humans were right to fight back. We will not be part of this anymore. Silence fell over the chamber. Then 2 more species stood and announced their withdrawal. Then 3 more. Within an hour, 15 species had left the Council. The alliance that had ruled the galaxy for 10,000 years was falling apart. Thelvar watched his power crumble. This is treason, he hissed. We will destroy anyone who leaves. With what fleet? Asked one of the departing representatives. The humans destroyed your armada. You have nothing left to threaten us with. On Earth, Admiral Jiwan received reports of the Council's collapse with satisfaction. But she knew the war wasn't over. Thelvar and his remaining allies still controlled dozens of worlds. They still had armies, and they were desperate. Desperate enemies are the most dangerous, she told her commanders. We need to strike fast before they can regroup. Captain Minji was given command of the human fleet. She had proven herself in dozens of battles over the past months. Now she would lead the final offensive. Our target is the Krovan homeworld, Jiwan explained. It's where Thelvar is from. If we take it, we cut the head off the snake. Colonel Seojun would lead the ground assault with his enhanced soldiers. Hana Song would coordinate the Revenant protocol strikes. Jiho Ryu would hack their planetary defenses. Dr. Yunji would broadcast messages to the Krovan people, trying to convince them to surrender rather than die for a lost cause. The human fleet, now numbering 300 ships with their new allies, jumped to the Krovan system. They expected heavy resistance. What they found was different. The Krovan homeworld was blockaded, but not by Council forces. It was blockaded by ships from the species that had left the Council. They were preventing Thelvar from escaping. We heard you were coming, said the Meklar commander over the communication channel. We thought you might need help. Thelvar is trapped on the surface. He has 5,000 soldiers with him and the entire planetary government. If you want justice, now is your chance, Minji smiled. Let's finish this. The combined fleet moved into orbit. Jiho went to work immediately, shutting down the planetary shields. Within minutes, the Krovan homeworld was defenseless. But Jiwan didn't want to destroy the planet. She wanted something better. She wanted the truth to be known. Dr. Yunji broadcast a message to every device on the Krovan homeworld. People of Krov, my name is Dr. Yunji Park. I represent the human species. Your government has told you that we are monsters, that we attacked without cause. I'm here to show you the truth. She played recordings from the Horizon's Promise, video of Thelvar admitting that the Council's treaties were traps, audio of Council officers planning to enslave humanity, documents showing how the Council had conquered 43 species using the same methods. This is what your leaders have done, Yunji said. Not just to us, but to dozens of civilizations. They lied to you. They used you. And now they're hiding on your world, hoping you'll protect them. I'm asking you to make a choice. Hand them over and we will leave your world in peace. Protect them, and you will share their fate. On the surface, the Krovan people watched the broadcasts. They saw the evidence. They heard the truth. And they made their choice. Within hours, protests broke out across the planet. The Krovan people surrounded government buildings, demanding that Thelvar and his supporters be arrested. The military, seeing which way the wind was blowing, refused to fight for the council leadership. Thelvar tried to escape, but there was nowhere to run. He was captured by his own people and held in a prison cell, waiting to face justice. Colonel Seojin led a team to retrieve him. When he walked into that cell and saw the ambassador who had started this war sitting in chains, Seojin allowed himself a small smile. "Hello, Ambassador," Seojin said. "You're coming with us." Thelvar was brought to Earth. A trial was held, broadcast across the entire galaxy. Representatives from every species the Council had harmed testified. They told stories of conquest and slavery, of worlds stripped bare, of civilizations destroyed. Thelvar was found guilty of crimes against sapient life, but instead of execution, Earth chose a different punishment. "You will spend the rest of your life working in the labor camps you created," Admiral Jiwon declared. "You will know what it feels like to be enslaved. And every day you will remember that humanity showed you more mercy than you ever showed us." Thelvar was sent to the same camp where Taeyang Kang had once been imprisoned. Now Taeyang was the warden, and he took great pleasure in assigning Thelvar to the hardest jobs. With the Council's leadership captured or dead, the war was effectively over. But peace still needed to be built. Jiwon called a conference on Earth. Representatives from every species in the galaxy were invited. Even former council members who had committed no crimes were welcome. "We didn't fight this war to conquer you," Jiwon told the assembled delegates. "We fought for freedom, our freedom and yours. Now we need to build something better than the Council, something that respects all species equally." The conference lasted for 3 months. There were arguments and disagreements, but slowly, a new structure emerged. They called it the Free Species Alliance. Every species had an equal vote. No single race could dominate the others. Trade would be fair and voluntary. Labor would be paid, not forced. And any species that tried to conquer others would face the combined might of the entire alliance. "We're not naive," Yunji explained to the gathering. "We know that peace is fragile. We know that power corrupts. That's why we're building checks and balances into this system. That's why humans will not lead the alliance. We fought for freedom, not for dominance." The alliance elected a council of representatives from multiple species. Admiral Jiwon was offered a position, but she declined. "I'm a soldier," she said. "My job was to win the war. Now it's time for diplomats and peacemakers to build the peace." Instead, Captain Minji Kwan became humanity's representative. Her fleet became the alliance's peacekeeping force, ready to defend any member species from aggression. Hana Song and Jiho Ryu started a technology-sharing program. Everything humanity had learned about combining different technologies was offered freely to alliance members. In return, other species shared their knowledge. Within 5 years, every alliance world was more prosperous than it had been under the Council. Trade flourished. Science advanced. Old enemies became partners. Colonel Seojin retired from active duty. He had spent so many years fighting that he wasn't sure he knew how to do anything else. But he found a new purpose training the next generation of Alliance peacekeepers, teaching them that strength should be used to protect, not to conquer. Dr. Yunabei continued her genetic research, but now she focused on curing diseases instead of creating warriors. Her enhancements were offered to anyone who wanted them, not just soldiers. Dae-ho Yoon became the Alliance's Minister of Defense. He had learned guerrilla warfare against the Council, and now he taught those tactics to other species so they could defend themselves against future threats. Taeyang Kang, after serving as a prison warden for a few years, joined the Alliance's Economic Council. He helped establish fair trade practices and labor laws that prevented exploitation. Sora Lim became the Alliance's best pilot and a hero to children across the galaxy. She traveled to different worlds, showing young people that courage and skill could overcome any obstacle. 10 years after the war ended, humanity built a memorial on Earth. It listed the names of everyone who had died in the war. Captain Minho Kim's name was at the top. Beneath it were thousands more. At the memorial's dedication ceremony, Admiral Ji-wan, now old and gray but still strong, spoke to a gathering of humans and aliens. "We remember those who fell," she said. "We honor their sacrifice. But we also remember what they taught us. They taught us that freedom is worth fighting for. They taught us that unity makes us strong. And they taught us that even when facing impossible odds, humanity does not break." She looked up at the stars, where ships from 100 different species moved peacefully through space. The Council thought we would be easy prey. They thought we were weak. They learned the truth too late. We are humanity. We adapt, we endure, and we never ever give up, the crowd cheered. Humans and aliens together, celebrating not just victory but the peace that came after. In a prison camp far from Earth, Thelvar heard about the memorial ceremony.